This is The Week on Word, a podcast featuring a roundup of the most interesting, informative, and entertaining interviews from Word Radio. You can listen to WURD Radio anytime, anywhere on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app. Give us a play and download it today. In this episode, Pennsylvania State Representative Andre Carroll talks with Evening WURDs guest host P.O.C. about his House Bill 1506, which would make it easier for incarcerated individuals to stay in touch with their loved ones through more affordable and accessible phone services. And Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison appeared on Wake Up With WURD to discuss his legal battles against the executive actions he described as unconstitutional and shares his historical perspective on civil rights struggles, past and present. But first, Congresswoman Summer Lee, the first Black woman elected to Congress from Pennsylvania, joined Wake Up With WURD guest hosts Dr. James Peterson and Keir Bradford-Grey to break down the new student loan law, the lack of federal aid, and how it could impact Black students and families.
Super excited to introduce our next guest. We've been talking about democratic leadership and civil rights, and I can't think of any better individual to have on this program as our final batter of a guest to knock it out of the park. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome to Wake Up With WURD Congresswoman Summer Lee, representing Pennsylvania's 12th district, which includes Pittsburgh and other areas in Western Pennsylvania. The first Black woman to be elected to Congress from the Commonwealth of PA, Congresswoman Summer Lee. Welcome to Wake Up With WURD.
Oh, no,
I think you're on mute.
That's the term.
That's so funny. I just said, oh, hell, my staffer looked up. I'm going to say it again. But good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Keir, it's good to see you.
Yes.
Over the Zoom.
Congresswoman and Soror, part of the D9. Really appreciate you. Go ahead, James. I know you want to get in.
So Congresswoman Lee, we really have been talking about democratic leadership, and I'd love to get your take on this in this moment in terms of the DNC. There've been reports that Ken Martin, who's the chair of the DNC, is acknowledging that the Democratic Party is losing Black folks as active participants of their electorate. And I know this is something that you have probably been wrestling with for a long time, because your political career has really been about leveraging the progressive politics that kind of brings Black folks back in. Is it like too little too late to hear the DNC acknowledge this from your perspective? Or what say you to Ken Martin's comments about the DNC losing engagement with the Black community?
So here's my thing, and I'm not saying this to be smart or anything like this. I don't necessarily always know what's going on with the DNC.
Right.
That's right.
I think if you ask the average voter, they don't either. Right. And I also think that sometimes we might be conflating, big D Democrat, institutional DNC versus, democratic leadership. And sometimes we're using them interchangeably. What I think a lot of people of all races, but I will say Black folks. And we were just talking about this yesterday, the Progressive Caucus. I would say a lot of Black folks who are non-voters or who are infrequent voters, or those ones who, we would get them if we went and got them, but we maybe don't put as many resources, as much effort into getting them. Those are the folks who we're losing. So we are too often. So I'm actually very appreciative of Ken Martin saying that out loud, because I think that too many people are using the 92%, the number of Black women who voted in this election for, Kamala Harris, but they're ignoring what's behind that number. How many out of that number, how many of Black folks were non-voters? Right, who slipped from voting to not voting, maybe because they feel like, nobody is addressing their need, right? That in and out of election cycles, right, their material conditions aren't changing, right? So I think that there is a lot that we have to do. I think that we have to realize that Black voters are not, we say this all the time, aren't monolithic, right? There are Black voters who are upper middle class. There are Black voters who have been working poor generationally and have had policies beat them down and have no belief that any of those policies have come from every direction, and they have no reason to believe that something is going to change around that. Right. So I think there's a lot to discuss around the Black voter, and I think that now it's not too late. I think now is precisely the time to do it.
That's right. Midterm elections are coming up and they're going to be extremely important. Congresswoman Lee, I've seen you make wonderful speeches that have made the hair on my back stand up. I do got a little bit on that. And I really want to understand though, because I know it has to be, it can't be easy showing up as yourself and doing the things. Well, maybe it is for you.
I would say it's easy to be me.
Yes.
I can only be me. I ain't saying it's easy.
That's true. But you know what? Women like me appreciate looking at someone and I'm sure other young girls can see themselves in you. So what is it that you would say to anyone that wants to join Congress in this time? What do you have to have? What do you have to be? Because we want people that not only going to give great speeches, but also going to move the needle as well. And is that able to be done in this climate? Or what can we look forward to?
I think, and this is the thing that I say to people when they're like, whether or not they're thinking about running for Congress, State House, any level of elected, as we've done this. I think the number one thing you need to have is a North Star. What is the thing that drives you? And it can't be you. It can't be clout. It can't be prestige. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes elected office comes. Sometimes that comes with elected office. Sometimes not even always. So you shouldn't count on it. You need to have that thing that I am here because I'm here for justice, right? I'm here because we have been impacted by, policy choices, not policy incidentals, right? It wasn't policy accidentals. It was policy decisions and choices that have been made, and only intentional choices and decisions being made to counteract it is going to work. Whatever it is that moves you. I'm here because women deserve, autonomy. And I'm here because Black folk deserve to be free, to be liberated. We deserve to be free of policies that have kept our communities from the same level of opportunity that other communities have experienced, right? Whatever that may be, you need to have it. You need to believe in it really strongly because we got long days and nights, right?
Yes.
And you said it, like this place ain't built for us.
Right, right.
Be your authentic Black self in a place like this is challenging because this place is not built for any level of Blackness. It ain't built for any level of poverty if you came from the working class. It's not built for any level of a marginalized identity who's coming here and trying to change in the belly of the beast, the very thing. So I think you need to have a little bit of courage. Courage is a choice. You got to choose courage every single day. It's not like you take one dose of it and you think it's going to make you laugh. And you got to take your dose every morning.
Every morning.
Right? Yeah, you got to be surrounded. You got to be committed to being surrounded by people who keep you truthful, honest,
right? Who
keep you strong. And you gotta be willing to be that for people around you too. So
Congresswoman Lee, there seems to be there's some shifts that have been occurring in the Democratic Party since the election loss in late 2024, and I'm curious as to how you see them. And the way that I frame it in my mind is that the DNC is like slowly starting to catch up with elected officials like yourself and others who are pushing a little bit more towards the progressiveness that's more inclusive, I think, of the Black electorate in the 21st century. When you see Mamdani in New York and the Democratic Party establishment, I'm trying to frame this the right way so you can give me a straightforward answer. When you see a Mamdani rise in New York and you see the response of the formal Democratic Party, that's something that probably looks very, very familiar to you. What are the ways going forward that progressives and really folks who are more invested in like liberation thinking when it comes to politics for Black folks, how do you negotiate that resistance from the centrists and the moderates within the party apparatus? Again, you've done this successfully twice at least now, but what have you learned from that process? And when you see this happening with Mamdani, what kind of tips or advice would you give to a Mamdani in that particular moment?
Let me say this, and let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. I think that precisely the way that the more established class of Democratic Party electeds and leaders, the way that they are reacting to Mamdani is not just predictable, but I actually think that it is a fatal flaw in the way that we are navigating in 21st century politics, right? I think that I think it really shows that we've learned the wrong lessons from the last election, right? And I think that everybody's learning taking the wrong lesson. I think even Republicans are taking it, but we're talking about us.
Right.
And I think for
keep it on us.
We're talking about us. And I think that for us, people really are not clearly seeing that this was a change election. that people all around this country were hoping that there would be an earthquake, that there would be a shift. Right, that they have lived through the system, they have lived through the status quo. They maybe not have
waited long enough.
They maybe didn't have the language to everybody. Maybe not had the perfect language to articulate that. But I think that they have been showing that in their actions, their voting habits. And then I think that what the establishment does is that we justify different things. We're like, well, Black people still voted for Cuomo. And I'm like, well, no, you're talking about a generational divide, but we're also talking about the difference between a progressive's ability to touch voters earlier, sooner. We're having to compete against message, disinformation. So we're not doing an honest assessment, and we know it, but we also are not realizing that is a rot, right? It's a rot that's killing not just the Democratic Party from the inside out, it's having the effect of us forfeiting democracy. So we can't keep saying that democracy is on the line every election cycle, but then not fight for it.
That's true.
I heard somebody say yesterday to us, he was like, people are saying in focus groups, like Democrats, especially Black Democrats, are saying, if it ain't important enough for Democratic leadership to fight for, then maybe democracy ain't that important. So when we are rejecting, or we're publicly rejecting the Mamdanis, it's always that. They did that, some people tried to do that to me a little bit, people do it to AOC, they've done it to the squad, they've done it to now Mamdanis, to Bernie, whoever it may be. They think that they're just attacking us, and not the fact that they're attacking the millions of people that are moved, motivated, mobilized by candidates like us. Those are the people who are receiving the message that the Democratic Party can't be home for them. They're receiving the message that change won't happen from them, that whatever their working class needs are, their poor needs, their Black needs are, that they're going to maybe have to take a back seat to get in the majority. And if we're being told through every signal that it's either the majority or liberation, it's either the majority or civil rights.
Right. Either or, like we can't have both.
Yeah, we can't have both. That isn't a winning message. We have to find a way of showing that we can be a party of the future, not just a party of the past. Swing voters don't look the same way they looked 20 years ago. Swing voters are Black people and young people. The people who don't swing Democrat to Republican, they swing Democrat to staying home.
Yeah.
And we're forfeiting them.
And let me tell you, so I see the Jasmine Crockett's, you, Ayanna Presley's, AOC, these people move people because they feel like you're for the people. You're about the people. You are still a person.
We are the people.
Right. You are a person. And I know that you feel the same thing. Even though you're in this position, you know that any day something can get taken from you right under your feet. And it is not much you can do about it. Now, I just want to stand with this because even as we have the dynamic people like yourself and Jasmine's and AOC, we still are feeling the fear of what people can do to us. What would you say to what can we expect moving forward when we keep you and Jasmine and Jasmine Crockett and all them in, but we build more? Are we looking at some change, or are we going to just keep doing the status quo where we get dynamic leaders like yourself, but we can't feel all of the things that you would bring?
Keir, that's a decision that we have to make right now, and I think that that's the part of our democratic project that the voters, the people, have to realize that we are actually active participants in. Do you want to see more Jasmines, more AOCs, more me's? Really?
Yes.
Are we saying that, or are we believing it? Because if we actually believe it, then that means that we have autonomy here. That means that we have to start to organize and mobilize. So the one thing that I always bring everything back to is money in politics. When we think about how difficult is it to get us into office and to maintain our offices, maintain our positions, we're going up against juggernauts. Right? The money in politics that they unleash to stop people, especially vocal women of color, Black women especially, from being able to speak against the system itself.
Right.
I know a little something. Black women who are speaking against the corporate duopoly, right?
Yes.
The difference between progressive policies and politics is actually at the heart of why a lot of Democrats punch the left. What they're actually uncomfortable with, because they'll say, "Oh, I believe in that people should have Medicare. I believe that people should have access to healthcare. I believe people should have housing." With a true progressive, Black women progressives, what we're actually saying is that if you believe that, then your politics have to change. That means you can't do your politics with big pharma anymore. right? If you believe in ending the prison industrial complex, then you can't do your politics with the private, incarcerators. If you believe in environmental justice and the climate crisis, you can't do your politics with the fossil fuel industry, right? That's been at the heart of keeping us from that transformational politics. So yeah, it can happen. It will happen when we demand it, when we fight for it. So yes, I don't believe that people should feel hopeless right now.
No.
But we should also recognize that we can lose everything.
Yeah.
We watched that with this reconciliation package.
Oh
we just witnessed the largest wealth transfer.
Thank you. Wait, can we say that again? Because that's exactly what it was and what it's always been about, the transfer of wealth through policies and politics that get so convoluted that we don't even see what's happening. And I hope that we can do a better job going into the midterms and beyond of messaging these things exactly the way they need to be.
I first of all, I love the analogy and really the distinction you're making between politics and policy, Congresswoman Lee, when it comes to what we need to achieve in terms of a progressive agenda. And I think that made me think about like the whole messaging conversation about the DNC. It looks like Democrats are landing in a space where they now believe that they have to speak more eloquently and actively about affordability. Now, again, Congresswoman Lee, I know you've been here for years, but the DNC is starting to catch up here. Are there certain ways that message can be made in a way, I'm asking you to put on your comms hat here, made in a way that makes it more accessible? Because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were talking about, getting, first-time buyer loans, and they were talking about affordability. They weren't calling it that. They were talking about it, but how do you transform the message in a way that makes it more compelling and engaging for the folks, that those swing voters who are right, they're deciding between either voting Democrat or not voting at all?
So this is another one of those things that I'm gonna say that's maybe a little bit controversial, but yes, there's absolutely a better way of delivering a message, but it starts with, the authenticity.
Thank you.
But that also means that you need to have an authentic messenger. And that's the tough part, right? That's the tough part. What this is going to take isn't going to be all Democrats now all of a sudden using cuss words on social media or, all adopting, the same, colloquialisms. That's not going to cut it, right?
Everybody wants to stand on business now. Everybody wants to stand on business now, right?
Stand on business. Are you clocking that you're actually not standing on business, right? It's that, right? What we need an authentic messenger. So whatever is authentic to your experience in your district, we need to elect people like that. And that's the part that's going to be a little bit difficult, right? I think that this time, we have people who have served honorably. They served long, and they've served through times that are different. And we are now in times unlike we've ever seen. So we need people who are comfortable in this particular moment. We need people who can meet this particular moment. And they may be different than the people who have met moments of the past. So if you find that there is no authentic way for you to talk about poverty because you haven't actually been connected to poverty for a very long time, then there is no authentic way for you to deliver the message, and people are not going to receive it, right? If you can't talk about working class issues, because you're just not connected to them, that's what we need.
Right.
Party. People keep thinking that we're saying we need younger voters just because of their youth. No. What we're actually saying is we need voters who come from the lived experiences that are most impacted right now, right? All Black voters, all Black people aren't the same. We don't have the same experience. I think that there are people in the Black middle class who are as disconnected from the Black core working class as some white folks are.
Come on,
right?
Now.
And it's okay to say that, and it's okay to admit that. That doesn't mean that we are shaming them. But what it says is it's harder for you to speak about their experiences that you have not lived. So we need a diverse array of people to speak, to deliver the message.
Yeah. What advice would you give? And I hope that you're going to be someone that's coming around during the midterm elections to really talk to people, like you said, that connectivity about what this is truly going to mean. What advice would you give to anyone running as to how we need to really create a better way of pulling people out in this midterms? Because we need people to be with you, fighting with you. I don't know if we're going to be able to flip. I have no idea. I hope we do. But it's going to take a lot more than what we're dealing with right now.
I don't think we have a choice as to whether or not we flip. I don't think there's a choice.
Well, I think that we're still not woke. We're still not woken up about what it's going to take. And we're still not woken up about the vital role that Congress is playing, that can play right now, that can stop some of these things. So what is it going to take?
Man, honestly, it's going to take, I think that people want to see the Democrats fighting. I think that if we can't find a way in the next 2 days or so.
2 days, that's right.
Yeah, I know, right time is ticking. If we can't show a way, if we can't show the American people that Democrats, all elected Democrats, are fighting or in the trenches, like I always use this analogy, right? Like nobody wants to see the football game and it's raining and it's muddy. Nobody's listening to the person whose jersey's white. Like how is the jersey still clean? Like your jersey needs to get dirty.
Yeah,
like, we got to show that we're willing to get in the mud. And right, and that might look like a different thing every single day, right? Because this is a dynamic, moment that we're in. Right. So that's the first thing we have to do. That's for the elected, and what we do, how we move, how our leadership moves, is going to impact our candidates.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to make it harder for our candidates to run. If our candidates have to run against Democratic Party leadership right now and against everything that's happening, that's a losing strategy. So we need to set them up for success. We need them to be able to say, listen, we are the party of the people who are protecting democracy, right? We're the ones who are protecting Medicaid. We went to the trenches for Medicaid. We went to the trenches for SNAP. We're going to go to the trenches for education. We're going to put everything and leave everything on the field. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is obviously we got to do it now. We got to start now. So organizing to reach deep into those communities of disaffected voters starts earlier than it starts when people who are already connected.
That's
right. And it goes against, the consultant wisdom. Consultants tell Democratic candidates to, just
fire your consultants.
Yeah,
fire your consultants.
That's the person, right? Dr. Peterson, fire your consultant. Do that now.
Tell me what you were getting ready to say, because this is what do that now.
These consultants keep telling people to talk to the same people. They keep giving them the same stale advice, and the advice is always limited to the people who are already super voters. If you're only talking to super voters, and we done did the math, and the math says you need to expand the electorate, you need new voters. Well, we got voters. We got voters in our communities. We got people in our communities who can go to the mat with us. But you got to go to the mat for them, which means you got to go and get them. How you going to get a new voter if you won't even send them a mailer, won't knock their door, don't have a digital ad connected to them that's following them? You have to expand your universe. You have to be intentional. So I think those are the maybe three or so things. Fire your consultant. Show you're willing to fight.
Get your jersey dirty. I want some dirty jerseys out here. Let's go.
I don't care if we go and muddy them up ourselves with our handprints. Let me tell you,
do it.
Congresswoman Summer Lee, I am so appreciative of you, who you are as a woman, as a sister, as a role model, as a community member, as a daughter, as all of that. A godmother. I don't know, whatever you are, but
I am a godmom.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, because you just have this godmother thing going on. But I'm saying, most importantly, I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow, look at this beautiful woman that puts me in the mindset of myself, wearing her wonderfully braided hair and showing up in all of her effervescence.
An all-powerful voice.
And I am proud. I am beyond proud, because I know who you are. I saw you on W. Kamau Bell show, and as the first time I saw you, and ever since then I was sold. And then to learn you were a Delta, I said, you know what? I'm going to be on something with this woman some way, sometime.
That's right.
But thank you for being true to yourself and always standing up and fighting, even against when the tide is running against you. I know you're going to be there when we get more people to join you. So we got to work on that. That's on us.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, Congresswoman, to join us here on Wake Up With WURD. Hopefully you come back on WRD early and often.
You're listening to The Week on WURD.
Why is WURD important to the community?
WURD actually literally saved me from mainstream media. WURD is a black gem. WURD is just unbelievable with the information that I have learned.
When we sit there and we think about how important WURD is, that alone should make us give.
Back in the day when Churchy Woods was on, we had no idea that we needed to support the radio station like we know now.
Listeners, we got to save it. We got to save our WURD radio.
Like, if it wasn't for black media, you wouldn't know who a music soul child is.
Visit WURDradio.com/support. This is The Week on WURD, a podcast highlighting the top conversations on WURD Radio. Make sure you look for and follow WURD Radio on all social media. Up next, Pennsylvania State Representative Andre Carroll talks with Evening WURD guest host P.O.C.
PA State Rep Andre Carroll on the line. He's doing some really big things. Welcome, Andre. Welcome to WRD. I'm really excited to have you.
P.O.C, I'm just excited to be here with you today. I know we got some exciting things to talk about. I just want to thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Yes, and some people are still getting to know as you just came into office, but you ain't new to it because you've been doing some big things that you got in office, right? It ain't about the time, it's about how you're utilizing the time. Exactly. But please introduce yourself and let the people know exactly who you're listening to.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm State Representative Andre D. Carroll. I have the pleasure and distinct honor to represent the 201st Legislative District, which is in Philadelphia County, but it's in the Germantown northwest section of the city. So Germantown, Logan, and West Oak Lane are the neighborhoods that I have the opportunity to represent. I'm still newly elected. I still use that because it hasn't been even a year yet. Right? With all the amazing things we've been able to get done, I'm still just 9 months on the job. So
I love it. And I just want to start out, by asking you, because last week the city was really loud. It was a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Thank God it resumed, after only 8 days, and we're back fully functioning right now. Just in your position, where you were in the Germantown Northwest section, how did you all handle it up there? Did you all get pals and pals, or was it people able to handle like community and come together and make sure it was contained in organization?
Yeah. So, this is the thing. This is my outview. When it comes to government, people view government as one. People do not view local government, state government, or national government as separate entities, right? So when it comes to government showing up for people and how we move them forward day to day, it's a team. Unfortunately, we did have a work stoppage and a strike as it pertains to DC 33 members. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest impacts, but not, there's other occupations that also was interrupted because I know a lot of times we focus around sanitation, but that's the thing that we can see, the tangible thing that's right in front of our face. But also when it comes to the morgues, also when it comes to folks who work in our libraries, these are DC 33 members
and our Philadelphia Water Department too.
Exactly, which my district holds one of the water treatment plants. So there was a multitude of occupations that was experiencing a work stoppage for 8 days. And, I'm excited to see that the city and the union have gotten to a place that may not be the most ideal place, but there's a place that gets people back to work because people miss a paycheck. Yeah. In that 8 days, people miss a full paycheck. And what we recognize when it comes to working class people, that most Americans don't have $1,000 in their savings account. And most Americans are literally one paycheck away from the brink of bankruptcy, of not being able to pay basic bills like rent and utilities. So, 8 days for some people, it's going to take months for people to get out of that hole again. So I'm excited to see people back to work again. And I can say, congratulations to the union and to the city for the moment, in hopes that this, contract gets ratified and that we can move forward and, we can make a future deeper investment into our city workers as we move forward.
And one of the things that I was talking about to start off today's show was restoring the trust, right? And one of our callers called in and amplified the fact that this administration ran off of a people's campaign. The Parker's administration ran off of a people's campaign. Do you believe that, the administration can actually restore the trust within the city? Because one of the biggest things that she pushed was for a cleaner, greener city.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've been a candidate myself and I have the opportunity to be elected. And when you campaign, you make promises and, you run on a platform that you believe that you can enact once given the opportunity to put your hand on that Bible or whatever, item it is that you put your hand on and you get a chance to give that oath, you run off of the things that you think you can get done. And now Mayor Parker ran off of things that she thought she could get done. I mean, the thing that you recognize when you become an elected official, the job is a little more difficult than what it looks like when you get in the seat, right? So, I'm wishing her the best because, if Mayor Parker doesn't succeed, then the city doesn't succeed, right? And what we recognize is that the mayor that we currently have is going to be the mayor for 4 years. When she was inaugurated in January of 2024, we knew that she would have one term to be able to do what it is that, she said that she wanted to do. So every election comes with a with a set of terms. And we have to allow her to lead. And I want to wish her the best and, hoping that, the city and the administration can get back to a place that allows us to move forward because, there are disappointments that happen in government and every day in our lives. And, but it's about doing the work. You got to do the work to be able to get people's trust back when you disappointed them. So I'm definitely wishing the administration the best.
For sure. My last question, Andre, I want to just stay on this topic for one more question. Like you said, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because something that you mentioned as far as people see government as one, right? Local government, state government, and then federal government, which they're actually all three different, right? And they're ran differently as well. So when we see so many elected officials who are technically on the same team come out against each other, right? Especially in a city like Philadelphia. What do you think that does for the camaraderie, when we got to get back into City Hall in a couple of months?
I'll be very clear. I can't speak for other elected officials, but there's only one team that I'm on, and that's the team of the people. When I campaign, I ask people to vote for me, and they did that. And when I come to Harrisburg, or, if there was anywhere that you sent me, if you sent me to City Hall, if you sent me to Harrisburg, if you sent me to Washington, D.C., I am there on the team of people. And that's how I wake up every day. That's how I go to sleep every day, with people at the forefront of my heart and the forefront of my mind. So when I'm voting on bills and I'm making decisions that impact 13 million Americans, I'm right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The only team that I care about is the team of the people.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you for your transparent answer. And I want to get into why you're here today. Congratulations. The bill has been passed. You got something done. You actually said you were going to do something when you got in office and you made it happen. And we're talking about PA Bill 1646. Talk to us a little bit about this bill and, how is it actually going to help the people who are technically incarcerated right now? I know it's like a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? But at the same time, they are still being treated fairly while inside. So when it comes down to reforming the board for the barber's examiner, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yep. So we got two bills. Because when you talk about incarcerated folks, I'm assuming that you also want to talk about eliminating the cost of communication. So let's start with the barber's board, which is HB 1646. This bill right here reforms the requirements for to meet as it pertains to the Barber's Examiners Board. So right now we have 11 seats that currently exist on the board. These seats are a combination of appointments to the board. But right now we have 5 vacancies. We recognize that the Governor Shapiro's and his team and Republican-led senators on the other side of the building are working together to be able to get nominees appointed to the board. But as it currently stands, we only have 6 people that's on the board. And the way that the rules are currently written, it says that it needs to be a majority of the seats, regardless if they're occupied or not, are needed to meet. So the majority of 11 is 6, right? and right now we only have 6 members. So if one person is sick or if a person cannot meet for whatever reason may be, the board can't meet. And that has happened several times over the last year. So what my bill does, it reforms the rules and it says that, look, we just need a majority of those that currently occupy the seat. So instead of 6 now, we would need 4. And it's important that these boards meet because we have 26 boards underneath the Department of State, and each board dictates and controls a different occupation. So when it comes to the Barber Examiners Board, if you were a small business being a barber and you were right now applying to be your license, you just wrapped up school, and right now in this economy, days matter, right? For folks to be able to survive, and you're trying to do the right thing. You've completed, school as it pertains to being a barber, and now you apply for your license, and now because this board can't meet, now you're delayed
taking forever to get a license
until they can meet again. So my bill.
And this is not even just so you can open up a shop. This is just simply the board meeting so you can get a barber's license to actually do it in the state of Pennsylvania.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, that's exactly what my bill aims to do. We got this bill passed the House last week on a bipartisan, basis. And, now we're just looking for the Senate to pass the bill, get it to the governor's desk. We can get this signed. This is when I ran, I talked about common sense reforms. And this is one of those things. These are the things that, there's no financial, tab associated with this bill. We don't spend $1 by changing the number of members that is required to meet. But what we do, we move everyday working class citizens forward. And we give opportunities to people in all communities across the Commonwealth to be able to live out their dreams in a profession of being a barber.
What actually inspired you to actually tackle this problem, right? Because this is a problem, but many people see this as something that's small, something that can be pushed to the side, because we're talking big trades like electricians and HVACs and plumbers, so what made you want to actually tackle this particular situation?
Yeah, me and my barber, we have a great relationship. And I mean, anybody who has a barber, they'll say that their barber is probably one of their best friends. And me and my barber, Bud, who I had a chance to highlight throughout the graphics and, the rollout of the bill, success, you listen to people's story. And that's how I lead. When you talk about being on a team of people, you're listening to their stories, you're listening to the things that make life difficult for them. And sometimes it's not the big things. It's not the $100 million investment that's going to make their life immediately easy. It's some of the common sense low-level things like this, just a simple tweak and the required amount of people needed to have a meeting so that we can process applications. And that's how my leadership goes. I listen to people's stories and I take it back to a table and I think about how do we fix this? And that's exactly how this occurred. This issue got brought to me. I thought through it. I said, look, this seems easy to me right now. I got to go convince 102 other folks to be able to say look, guys, I think we can get this across the finish line. And we did.
And, on a federal level, they're actually cutting programs, like trade programs in order for people to get their trade, right? Literally kicking people out of these schools, right? So I wanted to ask you, especially in a city like Philadelphia, where a lot of people are actually moving and working off of trades, right? So how do you think we can continue to have this type of occupation existing within our societies when you have people on a federal level that don't think money should be sent or allocated in order for people to be able to get these trades?
Yes, that's a good question, P.O.C. Like I said, people view government all as one, but the thing that I recognize as a state lawmaker is that I have to defend Pennsylvania when Washington has us under attack, right? Washington is going to do what Washington does. I don't serve in Washington, so I don't have any input in that branch of government. But what I do have input in is how do government show up for Pennsylvanians across this Commonwealth. So while DC may be defunding things and making lives more difficult for folks, is my job as it pertains when it comes to state allocation of funds. How do we invest into working class people? How do we invest into education? How do we invest into the trades? And that's where my focus is.
And do you feel like people are going to be more encouraged or discouraged in order to go into the trades as conversation around it is just being, I would say negative for real?
I think it's up to us how we message it. How do we back up the commitment and promises that we make? Do we really show real investment, right? When I talk about the success of this bill, it excited people who didn't even recognize that there was a board of barber examiners. They were like, I never even thought about that. When people write, when they're going through a process and they recognize that, look, because I may have this on my record or I'm experiencing this kind of delay and I'm writing this letter to ask for consideration, I'm just sending the letter to the address that you gave me. I don't recognize how that shows up with government, how government controls that entity. At the end of the day, it's up to us as elected officials. How do we take the things that we do when we walk in these rooms and we are delivering for everyday working class people? How do we message it? How do we come back and explain to people, I am waking up and going to sleep every single day to make your life better?
And now that this has passed, you did the work, you got it done. What does this look like for people going forward? How does this change the process? How does it speed up the process? But how does this actually help them in the long term?
Yep. So this bill, like I said, we passed it in the House last week. We're going to work to get it past the Senate. Once we get it through the Senate, it'll get to Josh's desk.
First name basis. I'm about to say first name basis.
Yes, Governor Shapiro's desk. Got you. And we'll get it to get it to his desk, get it signed. And once the change is made, it will speed up the process as it pertains to applications when it comes to licenses. And, that people will get a chance to see, they'll start getting results directly in the mail when they send out that application send out that form as it pertains to their license. Right now, people are not receiving, acceptance or denial letters in the mail. But this bill would allow that to happen.
So all of the ones that are backdated, all the people who probably have sent it before, you actually push the bill through, they will be able to get first come, first serve pretty much because they were already in the log.
We'll get people back to work.
All right, perfect. That's good. Yep. And again, congratulations and thank you again for the work that you're doing. And for the people who are just tapping in, you're listening to PA State Rep Andre Carroll, who just did some amazing things for the city, for the state of Pennsylvania, but also for barbers here in the city of Philadelphia particularly. But you're also doing more, and again, thank you so much of what you're doing. And let me ask you this question before we get into our next bill that I want to introduce, or that you're introducing, but I want to introduce it to the folks. When it comes down to just being young and progressive, do you feel like that's where we really need just politics in general to go into, right? Because we have old and progressive right now in the White House and is making some moves, whether it is only benefiting a particular person or a particular community. But at the same time, do you feel like that progressive edge is something that really is what politics needs?
I think, each community is different. And each community, the beauty about government is that each community has the opportunity to send a voice for the people from that community, right? And, I'm honored that my community had decided that they wanted to send me to Harrisburg to represent them. The thing that I recognize too, like in the word progressive is the word progress. And government at all times should be aiming to add progress to the conversation. I'm not really sure if I would agree that what's happening in DC right now is progress. That's not like in my personal humble opinion is that I think that Washington is undoing some of the great things that we've seen happen in Washington that was progress to actually move everyday folks in this country forward. So, as a young person who has the energy, and opportunity to serve, it does. I think it works in my community, right? And that looks different for each community. But the beauty about elections is that the decision is up to you.
Yeah.
You get a chance to send the representative that you believe is going to make the best progress for you and your community.
And we got to get out there, Philadelphia. We got to get out there. We just had a 14% turnout in this recent election in May. So we got to make sure we are getting out there when it comes down to utilizing this vote, because the vote is the voice, So we want to make sure we are casting that vote. And it's coming up in November. So make sure you get locked in, because I know we do a lot for the primary, but we got to make sure we make it all the way to November with these votes as well. But State Rep, we actually have to go to a commercial break. We're at this quick commercial break. We're going to tap in again. I want to make sure that you guys understand that he's actually pushing and introducing another bill right now, 1506 in the state of Pennsylvania. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. It's your girl P.O.C. Evening WURDs. But Andre, please reintroduce yourself for the people who are just now listening.
Thank you, P.O.C.
No
for
doubt.
that. I'm State Representative Andre D. Carroll. I have the distinct honor and privilege to represent House District 201, which encompasses neighborhoods Germantown, Logan, and West Oak Lane.
Yes. And one of the things that you've been doing, just shy of 9 months, you just getting in the office and you're doing some really big things. And I think this one is really big because, again, I'm really big on community, centering, myself around community and the work that I do around community, and also voices who feel unheard and unseen. And the fact that you are pushing this right now to actually help people who are actually incarcerated, being able to reach out to their loved ones, their family members, and even when it comes down to their guardians, because we're talking about people who are in juvenile facilities as well. They want to talk to their mom and talk to their dads. So talk to me a little bit about what inspired this eagerness behind this bill.
Yeah, so this is HB 1506, which would essentially eliminate communications costs for incarcerated families. One of the things I recognize is that last year alone, we spent families of those that are incarcerated spent about $22 million in just the state of Pennsylvania alone. In trying to stay connected with their loved ones that's currently incarcerated. And, anyone who knows me, they know that my father is a big part of my story. And my father is formerly incarcerated. But he spent the first 20 years of my life in prison. My father was incarcerated when I was 9 months old, and my father came home a month shy of my 21st birthday. And for those 20 years, the only thing that kept me and my father connected was a phone call. And when my father didn't have the money on his books to be able to make a phone call, I didn't hear from my father. But one of the things that we also recognize is that, people who are incarcerated having healthy relationships, it reduces the possibility that they will reoffend once they come back home to their communities.
Yeah.
Another thing that we recognize right now when we're talking about the economic situation as it pertains to people who wake up every day and put their best foot forward to be able to put food on the tables, to keep the heat on and the electric and the lights on, we recognize that in this economy, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I recognize is that, with my lived experience and with the current situation that we're faced with, is that this bill right here, 1506, will have an opportunity to give more families of those that's incarcerated a better opportunity to have a healthier relationship, and also a better opportunity to be able to pay bills versus having to choose between everyday expenses and having to send money, up to the county jail or state facility to stay in contact with their loved ones.
And, $22 million, that's a lot of money, right? And at the same time, we have to find a way to get that money if we do want to resolve this issue in a way in which we put it back onto the state. So just in a way in which you can explain it to us, how would we budget this in technically?
That's a good question, right? So last year, what I'm saying is that families like yours and mine spent $22 million out of their paychecks to be able to pay for these communications, right? That's based off the current contract that DOC has negotiated with the phone provider.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, we use Securus. Yeah. And what we also recognize is that rate may be just a little too high. If we can reduce the rate, it puts us in a better position to be able to pay the bill. And while it's currently right now 4 cents, that 4 cents per minute is the reason why families in this Commonwealth has paid the $22 million. But my bill would take away the financial burden from families, and it would put it on DOC to be able to find the money. But what I'm also confident in is that DOC can get a better rate than the rate that we currently have, because we recognize across the country that other states do have better rates, and they use the same company. In Illinois, for instance,
that's a good point.
Rate is 0.09, not even a cent per minute. We can get a better rate. And if we get a better rate, it will reduce the cost. But also, I don't believe, even if we reduce the cost, I don't believe that families like you and I, you and mine, should be forced to pay the bill. Because right now, what we recognize is your cell phone bill and my cell phone bill may be somewhere around $100 a month. But what we can do, we can talk anytime, we can text anytime, and we also can call long distance. And the price of our phone bills do not change. And that's not the reality right now as it pertains to those that are incarcerated. And,
when it comes down to having this conversation with families, I'm sure this is one of the reasons that prompts you to do this. What are you hearing from the people to, actually make you want to go out and get this done? Like, what are the people talking about?
Yeah. So, I really enjoy being on the ground and talking to people, right? Like, outside of my lived experience, I have an opportunity to visit folks and meet them where they are. For the last 7 years, I've been volunteering with a nonprofit called Brotherhood Foundation, which is led by Reverend Dr. Damon Jones from Bible Way out in West Philadelphia. And have an opportunity to engage with young folks who are juveniles who are being tried as adults. I get a chance to meet their families. And I also, too, since being elected, I visit the state facilities all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and talking to these people. These people want nothing more until they have paid their debt back to society to stay in love with, to stay in contact with their loved ones, like their children, their moms, their dads. Because what you also recognize, and this is a real reality, that when some of these folks get sentenced, especially when people are getting sentenced to decades in prison, their moms, dads, and sometimes children die while they're in prison.
Yeah.
And, the recourse for a person who has committed a crime and been found guilty is their freedom has been stripped away from them. But we should not be harming people in a way that does not allow them to be rehabilitate them. Or we should not be sending people back to communities worse than the way that we found them.
And we shouldn't be breaking up homes, right? We shouldn't be breaking up homes because one of the things when, you say you got to make a decision between putting food on the table, paying an actual bill within the home or sending money upstate, it could actually break up a home because then that person starts to feel left out. They feel like they don't want to call. They don't want to ask anymore. They don't want to be a burden. So now they're sitting there trying to do different things within inside the facility to make ends meet. And that's actually, not what we want as far as wanting to rehabilitate these folks, right? And then also at the same time, the family blaming them like, this is your fault. Why are you in this situation? And now it just brings more mental health cases, where I would say it would amplify more mental health cases within inside that sector when we talk about incarcerated folks. So I definitely think that having this bill is a start for sure. And I know that during the pandemic, it was actually free during the pandemic for people because they wasn't able to get in-person visits. So I know that it's possible. I'm not sure how much debt it put the state or the county in order to make that happen, but I know that was something that was physically possible, and it was something that was feasible at that time. So I'm sure it could happen again. But we got about 3 minutes left with you, and I want to ask this question. How does these bills actually fit in your broader agenda to actually help small businesses, but then also help people who want to be reformed at the same time?
Yeah, I think, for me, while you were speaking, one of the things that came to my mind, right, and I mentioned this in a committee meeting that I had last week. I sit on the Judiciary Committee, and I mentioned that the Department of Corrections is the third largest expenditure as it pertains to the state budget. Mm-hmm. We are sending over $3 billion a year to this department for them to utilize and for them to spend. I believe we have a due diligence to folks who pay their taxes to explain to them what we're doing with their money.
Yes.
And I believe that an investment into healthy relationships, like a phone call, is a good explanation of what you're doing with people's dollars. There's a lot of things that we as government spend that everyday folks who pay their taxes do not have an opportunity to control or dictate where that money goes. Mm-hmm. Some of these issues I disagree with wholeheartedly of where we send people's money. I believe that this is a true investment in the right direction, and it makes us get closer to the goal of safer communities.
Agreed. And reform at the same time. Exactly. And State Rep, I really do appreciate you. Again, thank you for your patience and your time this afternoon. Thank you for blessing the airways here on WRD. Again, telling people how they can find you, stay locked, social media, website, how they can call that telephone number if they need something done. Let's talk to the people. How can they find you?
Yes, absolutely. So again, I'm State Representative Andre D. Carroll. I have the opportunity to represent the 201st Legislative District. And you can find us. Our office is located on Germantown Avenue, which is 5845 Germantown Avenue. The number to my office is 215-849-6592. You can also find me on social media. I do respond back in the DMs and to the comments, but it's Andre D. Carroll on my personal page, and it'll be Rep ADC on the legislative page. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I still use X. I was about to say the T word. X. And also, we're also on Blue Sky too. So please reach out if there's anything that my office can help you with. I have a great staff, and we would love to be able to serve you and your family.
Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you again, P.O.C., for your time today. I really, really enjoyed the conversation, and thank people like you who are uplifting some of the great work that government has the opportunity to do.
Yes, and I want to just say thank you for the work that you're doing, being young in this political game, especially in the city of Philadelphia, and actually doing it, the right way where people can actually respect it. So I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
This is The Week on Word. Represent your favorite station in style. Look for Afrocentric tees, hoodies, tumblers, notebooks, mugs, and more. Just click the Shop tab at wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about Black Talk Media.
You gotta look good.
You're listening to the Week on Word podcast. To learn more about our programming, please visit wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. Our last conversation for this episode features Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison on Wake Up With WURD.
We are giddy in the studio right now to introduce our next guest, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, sworn in as the people's lawyer January of 2019, with the charge to help Minnesotans afford their lives and live with dignity, safety, and respect. Mr. Ellison prides himself on generosity and inclusion. Attorney General Ellison, welcome to Wake Up with WURD.
Well, it's good to be with y'all. Good to see you. My buddy Keir and I go back a little bit, and you, Doc, it's really great to be on with you. And there's so many things happening now.
Oh my goodness. So, let's get into it.
It is the time to be communicating.
Yes. And first of all, I want to thank you for just being a stellar example of what an attorney general can be in terms of affording protections to people. And the reason why I wanted you on this show and on this segment, we've been talking about the fact that I do truly believe we're in our second civil rights moment. And we are seeing an enormous amount of taking away things or trying to take away things that we have gained. Can I ask you, because I think there's really an underutilization of the Attorney General and the role of the Attorney General in protecting this, what role can and does the Attorney General's office play in making sure that we are not being discriminated against, our rights and opportunities are not being taken away by more powerful entities, even the federal government?
Well, the role of the Attorney General is to confront injustice in the courtroom and use the bully pulpit, the convening power to organize, to stand up for liberty and justice for all. The Attorney General needs to be the one who's going to file that case, who's going to challenge that new nasty rule, and then is not just going to limit their job to courtroom activity, but then is going to go to the rally, the march, the community meeting, to say, hey, here's what a fairer, freer America looks like.
I love that.
Yeah. So let me just tell you, Keir, I think it might be worthwhile thinking about maybe this is the third major civil rights movement. And the reason I say third, here's why I say third, because after slavery ended, we saw a flowering of Black opportunity.
Yeah, Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street, but also 14 Black members of Congress. We saw the development of Black land ownership. Black literacy exploded. Black schools, all these things. And as Black literacy exploded, white literacy in the South exploded. White people didn't know how to read in the South before the Civil War. It was actually Black people, but it was actually Black people's liberation from slavery that expanded public education.
That's right.
In general. And so then we all know about we know about Reconstruction. We also know about the redemption. Redemption. Yeah. We know about redemption, but then we went through, they call it the nadir, and that's a word that means low point. Where you had lynchings 3 times a week, and you had Black Wall Street during Reconstruction start, but you had the Greenwood Massacre in 1920, and the backlash. You had the backlash, but you had Arkansas. You had Elaine, Arkansas, where everybody knows about Rosewood.
I think we froze a little bit.
We're speaking with Attorney General
Keith Ellison. Black people from a light pole.
We lost you for a second, AG.
Can you hear us?
We're having now we're back. We got you back.
We got you back. You were frozen.
So then we get to the 1930s, the NAACP, Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston. They're litigating. It's still bad for African Americans, but there's the germination. Comes World War II. After that, man, you got people like Medgar Evers and others out, Black voting rights, and that would then be the second civil rights awakening. And then that goes up until around 1976. Then you get the Bakke decision.
Right.
Go ahead. Which says we're done with this country dedicated and established in the name of liberty, allowed, 30 million people exist in a state of unliberty.
Right.
And yet now we're done with that experiment about giving them some liberty. We gave it 10 years. That's enough for them.
Right. We were done with affirmative action. Nobody needs
no more affirmative action. So then really, but there were little bumps. But see, here's the thing: the first one and the second one were different. One of them, there was mass murder of Black people afterwards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This one now, we haven't seen mass murder, but we've seen plenty of neglect, abuse, denial, and then disparity in every aspect of American life.
Mm-hmm.
And see, now here we are in this other period of redemption, which will be followed by reconstruction, better than ever.
Yes.
What happened if people don't get busy, don't get organized, and don't do exactly what you all are doing right now, which is sounding the alarm bell? Wake up, get up, get moving. Time to organize, time to fight for your rights. And so thank you.
A.G. Ellison, I mean, first of all, this is why I so appreciate you, because you not only understand the history of the progress that has been made and the progress that set us back, but you utilize your office to help course correct some of the I would say discriminatory and oppressive things that have come through legal channels and policies. I'm just going to read a couple of things. You've been busy, and you've been busy doing a lot of things, but especially fighting back against the Trump administration that hurts your constituents. In July 16th, which was yesterday, you sued Trump administration for unlawfully cutting billions of disaster mitigation funding from Minnesota.
Who does that?
A good, astute attorney.
Disaster relief.
Oh,
right. Who cuts disaster relief? Exactly.
Right, exactly. But not only that, you also sued the Trump administration for illegally sharing personal data, health data with ICE.
That's
the things that you are pushing back on. You also sued the Trump administration for freezing $6.8 billion in education investments just weeks before the start of the school year. I mean, these are things that we don't even know that are possible or available to us from the AG's office, because quite frankly, and this is not a secret, a
lot of folks don't know what AGs do.
Pretty much. They think AGs are some glorified district attorney. So when you're doing these things, what are you using extra resources, or is this what your office is structured to do?
This is actually both.
Right.
Because this guy came on so ugly, so hard, so fast, we had to supplement. But it is right in the line of what we do. I mean, and I will tell you, then the first Reconstruction, there were no Black Attorney General.
Right.
I know that's right.
There's not a lot today, but
well, in the second Reconstruction of the 1960s, there was no Black Attorney General. Now there's 5. And
5 out of how many?
Well, out of 50.
How many states?
Out of 50.
Right. 51.
It's actually 57, because the DC Attorney General is an American Attorney General.
Right.
The Puerto Rican Attorney General is an American Attorney General.
Right.
Virgin Islands Attorney General is an American Attorney General.
Right.
It's 57. And about half of them are not for liberty and justice for all.
Right. Right.
But about half of them are. And I wish I could take a bunch of credit. I cannot. I mean, the baddest of us is Tish James now.
Yes. You know what? I love you, Attorney General Ellison, but I'm going to tell you, Tish James was the catalyst for me looking at this role as a way to advance civil rights through the market. Yeah. But let me tell you, our conversations have been so instrumental to me, where I can't get the vision of what that Attorney General's office can be for problems that have been long forgotten in our communities. And can we just, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm taking over this conversation.
No, go ahead.
I get it on. I can't stop talking.
I don't know if you know this, but Keir ran for Attorney General. Was a wonderful candidate, was a great candidate.
Yes.
A revolutionary, wonderful candidate.
Yes.
And it, God willing, will be again. So
look at that. We're keeping everything open.
Hey,
but I'll say
if you don't succeed,
try again. That's right.
Baby.
And look, on my spirit, because when we were talking, I mean, the things that you were doing were great. And also, you do provide public safety in the criminal context, as we can't forget. You were the one responsible for prosecuting Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd successfully, which
he's staying in jail too. He's staying in prison. He's not getting out.
Well, any pardon wouldn't impact the state sentencing anyway, right? AGL.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Just
right.
talking banter, something to get us all riled up so they can do some things under the radar. But I would say this, that almost cost you your next election.
Yeah, it did. But I don't care.
Tell our listeners that story, please, AG.
Well, let me just tell you, before I even took the Floyd case, like George Floyd was killed on the 25th of May, 2020. That week, as events unfolded, and you all will remember, they unfolded fast. People got into the streets protesting quickly. The story started saying, well, the people want Ellison to do the case. And some people who really cared about me, dear friends of mine, they called me and they said, Keith, do not take this case.
Wow.
I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, Keith, because if you win, the cops are going to be mad at you. And if you lose, the people are going to be mad at you. And some of us want to see you go to do this job or that fancy job or that job. And we think that you need to just avoid that. But my mom, who had we just lost her in March of that same year. She would be ashamed of me if I put my personal career aspirations in front of what's right. And so, I did what Mama said.
That's right.
You know what I mean? She
you
said,
did what was in your heart.
Right? No matter what, even if it costs you, you're not in this world to pursue some worldly ambition. It's about justice.
Let me say this. I had the same backlash to a case that I did, Michael White case. I was the chief defender, and I defended a young man that I thought was being wrongfully accused and really mischaracterized. And everyone told me, why are you doing this? If you lose as the chief of the office, you're done. You have nothing to gain here. But you know what? If I had the ability to do something, I wasn't going to sit on my hands because, hey, I was scared of what the public will think. So I thank you.
Keir's mama did not raise no punk.
Not at all.
No. Question for you, AG Ellison. So we were looking at your Substack article about just the kind of precarious moment that we're in with ICE and all the anti-immigration sentiment.
Yeah.
And you and Keir have been talking about, the field of play, as it were, right? And there's, in some ways, in this moment, because this president is so litigious, it is a great moment for AGs to step up and to challenge in the courts. I don't want to politicize this conversation, but the current AG of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has publicly signaled that he's not going to confront this administration. Talk to us a little bit about why you've been so prolific in suing the Trump administration, and what does it mean for an AG, regardless of political affiliation, to signal that to publicly signal they're going to stand down from doing that at all? This is early in this administration's tenure right now.
The reason we've sued Trump, 33 times or more, is because everything he's doing is illegal and unconstitutional. What he's doing is, in any AG who says that they don't want to sue Trump over these matters, it says that they're comfortable with illegality and unconstitutionality.
And ultimate harms to your constituent base, right? We're talking about...
Go for it. You talk about it, Keir.
We're just talking about basic needs that are not going to be met,
right? Because
he is now overridden Congress's authority to provide funding to people in Minnesota, Pennsylvania, every state. And now we're seeing just him saying, "Oh, we're not going to do it." And I think people are left with, "Okay, well, we can't do anything about that." But I'm like, wait, go ahead.
I was going to say, so if you're an attorney general for a state in the United States, and you're not going to confront Trump on birthright citizenship, on massive cuts to federal agencies established by Congress, not the president, then you're saying that you're more loyal to Trump than the people of Pennsylvania. You're saying that the priority for you is to make nice with Trump, so maybe he'll bless you with, a business deal, a promotion, something for you.
Right.
Rather than the people who put you in Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, Erie, all the great cities and rural communities in the wonderful state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Pennsylvanians deserve better.
Yes.
Than somebody who won't stand up for them. And if the person who resides in that office now doesn't like what I'm saying, they can do better today.
Today. We need you. We need every lever of government.
Let's do it now.
Right.
We will bring motions to amend our complaints to add you as a plaintiff state now.
Come on. We need this.
AG Ellison, can you talk about that piece, though, about how attorneys generals from different states are collaborating and through the amicus processes and otherwise joining forces, if you will, to hold this?
Well, let me just say, if you look at it with a very superficial eye, it looks like a partisan thing. It is not. It's not. I'm not suing Trump because he's a Republican.
Right.
I'm suing Trump because Trump is violating the Constitution.
Right.
The 14th Amendment says that birthright citizenship is the law.
Right.
That's what it says. I didn't write it. It's written there.
But you have to do these things because if it's birthright citizenship today, what is it tomorrow?
Well, what it is tomorrow is the Digital Equity Act.
Give me
that's a piece of legislation promulgated by Congress to make sure that in every aspect of our country, rural communities, isolated urban communities, elderly, remote, people of color, different people in different places where the digital
where the infrastructure for
broadband has not reached, that it does reach those places.
Right.
And so right now, we're in a battle with Trump because he's like, oh, that's racism against white men.
What?
Yeah.
Anything
that helps anybody that's not him, he feels is unfair to him.
Right. The narratives are really what
feels it, and so like what I'm saying is at this point, us AGs have bound together New York, California, Minnesota, Illinois, Arizona, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Michigan, a lot of states, Oregon, Washington, many states, about 23, 24 states have come together to say, we're going to stand up for the American Constitution and the American people. We're going to make sure that they get the services that they need, the money that Congress has promised, the constitutional rights that they're guaranteed. And we've been doing it together. Yeah. It would be wonderful to have a Republican. You are incredibly welcome. You couldn't be more welcome. We would, not only we wouldn't just put you on the back of the plaintiffs list, we put you on the front of it.
Move you to the front page.
Right? Move you to the front page because it is important. Because look, when access to environmental protection is cut by the Trump administration.
Right. We know where that's going to we know where that's going. We know who's going to get harmed for that.
Well, we know Black people will be harmed, but a lot of white people will be too.
Poor people. I'm talking about people in the lower social income bracket.
And even working class people. I mean, he's cutting the infrastructure for electric vehicles. Usually you got to have a little bit of bread to get an electric vehicle, right? And so that's going to hurt you. But the emissions from your car, which are going to be reduced by an EV, those emissions hurt everybody. So reduction of them helps everybody.
That's right.
And so the bottom line is he's literally hurting it. Tariffs, for example. So think about this. I'm talking to Republican AGs right now. I'm talking about Republican voters right now. These tariffs are not taxes on foreign countries.
They're taxes on us.
As I was going to try to say, exactly, that's right. They're taxes on this country. They're import taxes. The importer bringing goods into this country must pay a tax. And then who gets to pay the tax? Because the importer ain't going to pay it.
Right. He's going to pass that on.
They're going to pass that on to the consumer.
Right. Speaking of consumer, because
who's that? That's you.
That's me.
You're listening to this broadcast, that's you.
That's you.
So he just Trump with his BBB just cut a massive amount of money from taxes off the richest people. And then now he's bragging about money that the federal government has collected based on these import taxes, also known as tariffs. And he said, oh, isn't that great? Well, no, wait a minute. Import taxes are paid at the retail level, which is regressive and hits and if you got more money, it hurts less. If you got less money, it hurts more.
True. And all I got.
Sorry for how long Yeah.
No, I love it because I think what your worldly view, your social understanding shapes how you use your resources in that office. And one of the things I would try to tell people, and I'm glad that we had, whoever ran for whatever, it's good to have a different perspective in that space.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I kept trying to help people understand is consumers are protected more by the AG. Now, there are some criminal aspects to this job where you go after people criminally, but it's not the majority of your work. We have district attorneys in every county.
That's their job, mostly.
Yes. Now, what
Not
you
only,
do,
but mostly.
right, mostly. Now, but what I love about the Attorney General's office is that we talk about gun violence, and sometimes we're just talking about it in a myopic way. Look at these people on the street corners carrying guns. We got to get them off the streets. Sure, we cannot have people carrying illegal guns, but there's a bigger, larger element in that the Attorney General can deal with. And you yourself in your office has just done something that helps a multi-pronged attack on gun violence and the violence that we have seen with these, just having these weaponries that are protected by the Second Amendment. Can you talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for asking about that, because as you know, as a criminal prosecutor, you have the ability to prosecute individual people who break the criminal law.
Mm-hmm.
And who does that tend to be? Well, since we don't prosecute rich people anymore, it's low income, often people of color. Right. So that's what it is. And you know what? If they're doing things to hurt the neighbors,
okay, right,
they're getting prosecuted. Right. Sorry, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, why not go upstream
to where the babies are being dropped? Right.
Right.
We're looking at the babies downstream only. So can you talk about your upstream visibility?
The civil consumer protection laws allow us to sue entities involved in business, commerce, or trade who are operating deceptively, falsely, creating a nuisance. And so we have sued Glock because they are marketing their product. They are putting their product in the stream of commerce in a way that encourages massive gun violence through their switches. So they market machine guns. It's illegal to sell a machine gun. Why are you marketing a product that people can't buy? Because you can go get a $10 switch to make it that machine.
Make it fully automatic. That's right.
Right.
So we now a few years ago, there'd be a shooting, a couple of shots here, a couple of shots there, and our spot shotter machine would tell us where the shooting was. Now you might find 80 shots at once, 100 shots at once. I mean, within seconds. Right.
We just seen that in Philadelphia, where we had a mass, shooting that was berating of bullets. And my thing is like, where are people getting this?
Well, it's easy to get. All you got to do is buy a Glock and then just get a $10 thing. And it's just like changing your batteries in your remote on your TV.
And changes it from a semi-automatic handgun to a fully automatic.
To a machine gun.
Exactly.
Big machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I know police have to be raising the alarm on this because this is carnage that is unnecessary. But for business, some, I would think that many of the police
are. But I've been a little disappointed by other police officers who won't. But for the officers who say this is wrong, I do commend them because I believe that they are the spirit of true protectors and guardians.
Yes.
The other ones, I won't say no names, but I had an officer say, well, Keith, we get a deal from Glock, a cheaper price on the guns.
Wow.
I'm not sure I want to criticize them in public. I'm like,
wow.
Wow.
I thought you were a crime fighter, bro. So anyway,
keeps me employed, I guess, right? I don't know.
But see, here's the thing so we sued Glock. We're in court with them now. I have full confidence we're going to get them. But New Jersey's suing them. The city of Chicago's suing them, and others are as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Beyond that, too, we're suing a retailer in Minnesota called Fleet Farm because they were knowingly selling to straw purchasers.
Thank you.
Now, some people listening may not know what a straw purchaser is. All of us, we do this stuff, so of course we know. But a straw purchaser is a person with a clean record who goes to the gun store and say, give me one of them, and one of those.
Right. And why you got 7 guns? You got
right.
2 hands. Right.
Well, we're getting after a guy who after Fleet. We allege that Fleet Farm sold 24 guns within a very short period of time to one person.
Right.
Wow. When the police showed up at his house, he didn't have no more guns. Why?
They were stolen.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm sure he said they were stolen.
No, but they were sold. He had to plead. If he wanted to not do a heck of a lot of time, he had to come clean. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess.
Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Right.
Right. He started singing. And so, but the thing is that the gun stores have a responsibility. So the shooters, yeah, they're gonna get prosecuted. I mean, let me just tell you about Markeisha Wiley. Y'all Markeisha Wiley,
right?
Beautiful young lady, 26 years old, African-American woman. She was a veterinary tech. She took after your dog is not feeling good. She gonna help your little puppy.
Yeah,
she's helping Fido and Rex, and so she is out having fun with her friends on an evening at a local bar. 2 guys figure they're going to settle their differences with gunfire. They miss each other.
Oh my God!
Because it's hard to control these guns, right?
Right.
And they hit 14 other people, including Markeisha, and kill her.
Man.
And Markeisha Wiley is gone to us, but they prosecuted them 2 guys. They're probably, it's tragic because they're young men who will probably never walk amongst us again. They probably are down for the count. They will be in a cell for good. And if they got kids, they won't be available. They won't be at the graduation. They won't be at the wedding. They wasted their lives and they hurt everybody around them. I don't have no sympathy for them. But then what about the guy, Jerome Horton, who bought the guns and then sold them on the street? The straw purchaser. He didn't kill nobody, but he made it possible for people to be killed.
And then what about the person that had a license that allowed Jerome to buy the guns, where they weren't doing more of a due diligence on how responsible should we be as dealers?
Well, they should be civilly liable at least.
Yes.
So we sued them because if you got the same guy coming into your store buying multiples of guns, and by the way, don't give me some mess about you're a collector or we thought he was a collector because you're buying the same gun.
Right.
You're buying 4 380s.
Right.
You're buying, you're buying the same brand. And so one guy, he had a phone like this and was on FaceTime saying, "Oh, do you want that one? Oh, you don't want that one. Oh,
wow."
So he's clearly buying for somebody else.
That's crazy.
The law says that if you sell a gun, you're selling them that they're authorized to have that gun and that they're buying it for personal use. And that was a lie. So we're dealing with that. And we even have reason to believe that a manager said, "We think this dude is shady." And the store was like,
maybe not, right?
Wow. You want your sales bonus or what?
Right.
I don't know about a sales bonus, but they were like, if they got the gun, if they got the money, we got a gun for them. And so they were not caring. And this is happening all over the country. Absolutely. And it is legal to sell guns in America, but you have to sell them properly
and responsibly.
It's legal to sell guns in America, but you can't just sell them willy-nilly. There are rules, there are laws, and you must follow them. And so this is what we're doing. So, but we also are engaged. We're fighting Trump because there was this whole thing with this this forced trigger reset. Now this is another mechanism which makes a semi-auto into a machine gun. And so we sued Trump over that, and then the federal government was part of it under Biden. Trump gets in and does a settlement, and we're like, look, we sued over this, but in the non-plaintiff states, then they're going to give these devices back to the people they took them from.
Wow.
Not in Minnesota, but in other places.
Maybe Pennsylvania. Maybe. And
you should look it up. Forced trigger reset.
We will look it up.
Find out. And so then go ask AG Sunday, what's up with this? Are you gonna, we have enough deaths.
We do.
The preachers are doing enough funerals.
Yeah.
Parents are losing enough kids. And people always want to make it like it's an inner city thing or a black thing.
No.
What a lie that is.
Right.
What a lie that is.
It's a gun thing. It's a gun thing.
Yeah. But I mean, whether it's mass shooting in a school or at a theater or
on the streets
or a domestic violence in the home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where some woman believes, well, I'm safe in my home. Well, not from that dude who you with, you know what I mean? And that's why we have red flag laws, which by the way, were upheld by the Supreme Court, which is a little bit of a surprise.
Anything good coming out of this Supreme Court is a surprise.
Well, let me say that, AG Ellison, we are running out of time here with you, but I am so thank you, because not only do you come on the radio, you do come to Philadelphia. I know people meet with you a lot, and when I was in that space, everybody's like, AG Ellison, that's my guy. But I would tell you, there was nothing better to hear some guy on the street telling me that you were one of his favorite people. And I know we talked about that, so I'll talk about it offline. But I got to thank you for taking your time, blessing us with your wisdom and your knowledge and your understanding. But thank you for using your office to do things that matter for the people that really, really need the protections of the government to work for them. Thank you so much.
Well, let me tell you, I love Philly. I go Philly every time I get a chance. I got a lot of good friends there.
You sure do.
And I'm looking forward to getting back there. And, you guys keep it rocking, okay?
You're listening to The Week on WURD.
Why is WURD important to the community?
Thank you for asking.
Let me count the ways.
And it's one of the most important radio stations in the country.
WURD has always been a platform for Black people in Philadelphia. We're one of the only Black-owned talk radio stations in the country. We're one of 4 in the nation.
A lot of what's going on in the world today, I think, is a result of people feeling like they don't have a voice.
Without WURD, we wouldn't have such educated, loving, caring people of color who really are interested in what's going on in neighborhoods around the city.
WURD creates such a sense of community in the Black community here in Philadelphia.
It amplifies the voices that are mostly marginalized.
It allows you to speak and be heard and to create your own narrative, your own story. It's a place where we can share our thoughts, our ideas, our dreams. You control who and what you say about yourself.
Every community needs a hub.
We are giving voice to the community, and without the community, there will be no WURD. We are one and the same, and it is not a game. WURD.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Week on WURD. Let's stay connected. Sign up for our newsletter and listen to us online at WURDradio.com and on the WURD Radio app.